This is the unofficial Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures Game podcast. So, strap yourself in.
Stay on target.
Fly casual. Let the Wookiee win.
And more importantly, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the X-Wing podcast. I'm Ben Curry.
And I'm Ben Johnson.
And on today's show, we're going to be talking about getting into X-Wing. So, if this is the first time listening, you haven't listened to the introduction yet, welcome to the show first.
Yeah, and go back and listen to the introduction, and then come back to this one.
So, we've done episode 0 where we've just introduced ourselves, given some thoughts on why we're doing the podcast, and a bit of a background in X-Wing, which is almost non-existent at the moment. I think we're about 6 weeks in. So, yeah, it's all good. So, this episode, we kind of want it to be, if you're like us, and you've just got into the game, you've downloaded a podcast because, you know, you want to learn a bit about how to get into it. Hopefully this can be helpful and give you some tips. And I'd have liked to have heard it before I jumped in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as we said on episode 0, we watched a bit of YouTube, didn't we? But podcast-wise, there wasn't that much out there.
No, certainly not on these sort of topics.
No.
I think the guys who are doing the podcast are doing it on a sort of in-depth tactical discussions, and it's way over my head at the moment, that's for sure. Okay, so just a bit before we get into the feature, what we've been up to. Having a bit of a marathon gaming session today, haven't we?
Well, you have more than me.
It's 10 o'clock p.m. on Saturday night as we're recording, and a friend of ours, Greg, came over at 2 o'clock. So we're playing some games.
That's pretty good. I mean, when did I get over here? About half five?
Half five, yeah. So we played 4 games before you turned up, and then I think you played 2 against Greg, did you?
You played a 5th. While I was here.
Yeah, you're right.
And then, I played 2 against Greg. Yeah,
so pretty good going. I've been practicing for my upcoming tournament, which we're going to talk about on a future episode, using the TIE Interceptor. I've been really enjoying that. And you was on the receiving end of that as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I played Greg. First game was 2 X-Wings, a Y-Wing, and he just took me apart with 2 Interceptors, a TIE, and Vader. It was horrible. Yeah,
see, I've been told Rebels, low number of ships. Imperials, tons of ships. And Greg was using 4 Imperial ships. Vader, Val, Howl Runner, and just, I think, an Avenger Squadron Interceptor. So, quite a nice, small, fast squadron. It was really cool to face.
But played him again after that. After we were talking
about it. How'd you beat that?
They wouldn't want to place this, would they? So, we went, right, okay. So, we took Han and Luke completely buffed up with
just 2 of them.
All of the upgrades in the world. And that took them off. Just couldn't cope with Han sat in the middle of the board shooting 360.
What was the tweet you had as well?
Sorry?
About Han and Luke, what was the tweet you had?
Yeah, whoever survives gets Leia.
Quite like that. It's all good.
But they both survive, so I don't know what happens then.
Wow. Well, let's not get into that.
No.
Okay, so in this episode, we're going to talk, like I say, getting into X-Wing. You've got the starter. Where'd you go from there? Which route we went down and why we went down that way. And then we're also going to give kind of the cheap way to 100 points, because, you know, everyone wants to get to the 100 points to play the 100-point games. I mean, you don't have to. We played some really good ones at 60 points,
Yeah, 60 points was quite good.
60 points is great, because whatever you want to do, buy the starter and any one other ship, and you can play at 60 points. And that's a great rule of thumb. When a few other people ask me how to, you know, what should I get for 60 points? Like, get anything you like. Pick the ship you like.
Yeah, just pick the pretty one if you want.
Along with the starter, you can make 60 points from it. And it's a bit more difficult at 100, but it is still fairly easy. So
it's doable, isn't it?
Okay, so we'll take a quick break and then we'll get into it. Right, so you want to get into X-Wing, or you're already in X-Wing, and this hopefully will be a good episode to point a mate to when you're trying to, lure someone in. So we've got the starter. Where do we go from there? So what kind of where do you want to start with this then?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it greatly depends on your gaming group, really. If it's just you and you want to go down the local gaming store or local gaming club and get some games in, I think you need to go probably a slightly different way, or you don't have the options there, especially if you're on a budget. If it's you and a mate who both want to get into it, I think it's a little easier there, because I think there's some better options going that way. So I think we can talk about both ways, really.
So, first off, if there's you and a mate, if you both buy a starter, would there be a need for either of you to buy a second starter?
Not straight away, I don't think. I mean, I haven't bought a second starter, and I've got 10 dozen ships. I think I would buy another starter at some point, but I didn't feel the need straight away.
So anyone wondering why you would need a second starter, for me, the things that jump out is obviously you get the 2 extra ties. So if you do want the tie swarm, it's a quick way to get in more. 2 X-Wings is a great list. I think 2 X-Wings with any other combo of Rebel ships works.
Yeah.
You can run 3 ships with 2 X-Wings involved, or you could go up to 4, even 5 Rebel ships if you squeeze the points tight. It's always useful to have dice. Having more dice. Having 3 dice is a pain in the ass because you start shooting things at short range with your X-Wings or evading at long range with your ties, then you're always grabbing for an extra dice, and you can just borrow your mates, but it's nice to have your own.
Yeah, it is. And also, when you start looking at an extra set of dice is what, £7? Starter set's £24. I know there's obviously a bit of difference there, but if you wanted another set of dice for the difference, 2 more ties, another X-Wing, more templates, etc., etc. Because again, templates, if you're playing with one person, passing them back and forth again can just be, it's not the end of the world, but one set on each side, it's nice.
Okay, so assuming it's someone who doesn't really have a mate to buy in with, but they're travelling to a club or something and playing, do you think getting a second starter is a good way of expanding the forces? Do you think that's better or worse than just buying other ships?
I don't know.
A lot of it comes down to what you want to, what sort of play style you want, doesn't it, I suppose?
I think if you've got I had no real interest in playing the TIE Swarm straight away, so I didn't. That's why and we already had X-Wings and TIE Fighters. So the way I did it, because I was playing against you, playing against the missus a little bit, was went out and bought a Rebel ship and an Imperial ship. And just added those to the already existing ships in the set. Weren't too bothered about points because we were just pushing some ships around and making pew-pew noises. And that worked quite well for me. But again, now I'm a bit deeper into it with more ships. I think a second starter set will probably be my next purchase.
See, this is sort of one of the topics, what route we went down. I went down the second starter straight away. I picked up the Falcon and the second starter at the same time because I knew that gave me the Falcon 2 X-Wings, so I could play at 100 points right away.
Yep.
It also gave me 4 ties, which was a good start on a mini tie swarm, and I knew from watching the YouTube videos and things like that, and that really appealed to me, that style of play did. So I like the manoeuvring in formation, that sort of thing. It's I really like the look of that. So it's the extra starter is definitely a viable choice. But everyone, I think if you read the forums and that, everyone will say, yep, get the second starter. You really don't have to. Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Okay, as for ships, which ships, I suppose it's down to what you like, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what you like, and again, the groups you play in. Like I say, when I started, it was just me and you, me and the missus. So we just went out and bought one of each, and it was just the ships that we liked the look of. So I think it was a B-wing and a bomber.
Yeah, I would say try and stay away from things like the shuttle if you're a new entry. Unless, to it.
Well, no, if you really like it, go and get it.
Yeah, but
do you know what I mean? But
I think it can be tough to get on with that one.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my choice.
No, it's not quite so exciting. Whereas something like the B-wing with its barrel rolling and it's quite shooty and pokey. It's quite good. I think you get a bit more excitement out of something like that. Also, I think the TIE Advance is a great choice for a new player because I know again you read the forums and apparently the TIE Advance isn't one of the most powerful ships, but everyone wants to play Vader and some ties against Luke and an X-wing and
absolutely
his wingman. So that's a great choice as an early purchase. I think Vader's definitely up there.
Yeah, and to be honest with you as well, one thing that I've only just remembered is locally we actually quite struggled to get stuff. So, I mean, when I went to buy more ships, it was literally I bought a bomber and a B-wing because that was really the only option other than the individual TIEs and X-wings.
Yeah. So, talking about the individual TIEs and X-wings,
yep,
there is good reasons to buy these, isn't there?
Yes,
just
there is.
Buying the starter for the extra TIEs and X-wings. So I picked up the TIE, and you grabbed the X-wing, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you get in the X-wing one that you don't get in the TIE?
So
you get in the starter.
So you get Wedge.
That's the main reason.
The main reason, and you get a couple of upgrade cards, which slip my memory, but Ben's going to quickly
no, it's
Google.
fine. I'm not going to quickly Google it, but yeah, you get some upgrades, and Wedge is the main one, isn't it? He's a real big hard hitter.
Yeah, another name pilot, because you get Luke and Biggs in the starter set.
So you can run the trifecta of awesome in the Rebel ship. So 2 starters and an extra X-wing, and away you go. And the TIE Fighter, I picked up basically for Howl Runner, because Howl Runner's ability is pretty awesome. It's the most expensive TIE. She comes in at 18 points, but anyone in range 1 of Howl Runner can reroll 1 attack dice.
Yeah, so really good.
Running Howl Runner in a group. So like I say, I bought 2 starters, and then one of my next purchases was Howl Runner, and away I go, 5 TIEs.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about a bit about what we did for purchases then, and why. I mean, I've kind of sort of said it's because it's what's in, but I started with the Falcon and the second starter because, like I said, it made sense to me to buy a second starter. But looking back, don't think I needed to get the second starter. Then after that, I kind of went with kind of what you said, with wanting to add a bit of both at the same time.
Yeah.
But because I'd bought the Falcon, I decided to pick up 2 extra Rebel ships so I could play equal forces against each other.
I did similar with one of mine as well.
Because 1 big ship equals kind of 2 small ships.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to.
That was my logic as well.
So I got the bomber and the advance, but I got the Y-wing as well. I think I did get the Y-wing at the same time because I picked him up when we bought the tournament prizes. I got him.
Oh right.
And from there, I've just been, every time I go in a store, I buy whatever's in stock because I'm hooked. It's like Pokemon; you got to catch them all.
It is a little bit, isn't it? I mean, like I said, I bought a starter, and then a bomber and a B-wing because they were the only real choices. And then a couple of weeks after that, it was a Slave 1, and then, like you say, two Rebels. So I bought an A-wing and the extra X-wing. To get the extra upgrades, and then after that I bought an advance, and then won.
You don't have to buy them anymore, do you? Just win them.
Just win them, yeah. So bought an advance to get Darth Vader, and then won another advance and a Hawk, which I still just don't get. The Hawk.
I like the ship, but I bought it because it was in stock in the store I was in, and I wanted it for the collection. I can't see myself flying it in a hurry. I'm sure I'll get round to giving it a go.
It's got some quite cool abilities, passing focus around the place, but it's just, like I said on episode 0, I'm just not hooked on it.
No.
It's just not part of the universe for me, and that's what's doing it.
That's it then. This is the first feedback point. If people are listening, let us know why we should use the Hawk, what we can do with it, and what we can try with it to make it fun, I suppose.
Yeah, and same with the Lander as well, to be honest.
So, what about going forward from what you've got? Have you got plans? We've both got the Aces on pre-order.
We've got the Aces on pre-order, and I bought a Y-wing today.
How did you find that? You played that today?
Played it once. It got shot double quick. It was literally Greg just surrounded it and shot it dead.
I noticed you did with your Y-wing what I did the first time I played, which was try to fly it like an X-wing.
Yeah, and
pointing it at the things you want to shoot.
And the dude flying it really doesn't like that. He gets all stressy.
I played Greg twice today with my Y-wing, and I flew it, which I think you're supposed to do, like a Y-wing, which doesn't really matter which way it's pointing.
Yeah.
Keep just floating around, iron cannon and stuff. And kind of, rather than flying towards what you're trying to hit, flying into a space where you think you might need to be in a couple of turns, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a forward-thinking one, isn't it?
Yeah, and because you've got that iron cannon turret, you don't really need to worry about what's happening, like right in front of the nose of your ship. You can sort of blast something and know that if you hit it, it's going to move forward 1, and so you can just have to stay in range 2 of it rather than having to follow it and get the force shot near So yeah, I quite liked it, and I
Like
hammered Greg with it as well. That's why he probably picked on yours right away.
Yeah, it probably was actually. I think I got 2 turns out of it before it died. But I'll give it another blast. And yeah, like you say, we've got the aces on order, and I keep trying to have a look to find interceptors.
Just need to order one. There's loads of stores that got them in.
I know, but I just quite like walking in somewhere and picking it up.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Especially with so many places nearby.
Yeah.
Spirit Games and Chimera are the 2 main ones, I think, locally.
Is it Toymaster?
Toymaster in Derby.
Yeah.
You ought to check out Toymaster Nottingham as well. I wonder if they've got much in.
Well, it might do, yeah.
Definitely worth a look. As for me next, like I say, I've got aces on order. All I'm missing now, I think, is the two big Imperial ships, so the Slave and the Shuttle. And I think I'm going to be a dog and I'm going to buy the Shuttle just for the cards. So I want the Advanced Sensors card, which everyone on the internet is raving about.
Right.
Lets you do your action before you do your move, so you maneuver. So you can do your barrel roll before you do your K-turn or whatever. You can do a boost or something like that. So yeah, I think, or heavy laser cannons in there as well. Again,
so does that mean then that you can, if you know you're going to crash, you can focus then crash
into something.
And you're still focused?
Yeah, that's quite cool. And it's also... It's a system slot, so only certain ships can have it. But B-Wing's one of them, and you can do a barrel roll. So say you barrel roll to your left, you can then do a hard 2 to your right, and it kind of just puts you right in front of your starting position, but facing 90 degrees. So it's quite a tight on the spot turn, assuming you've got space to make that turn.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options with it, and I've been sort of reading up some guides, tactics guides of it, and watching some videos how they play. And it looks really good fun, that one. It makes the B-Wing go from a bit of a wallowing barge to quite a nimble little fighter rather than a, big space boat.
Space boat.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's going to be my next one. But then again, I'll probably just buy whatever's in stock. I can't start. I do like the idea of having a full 4 or 5 interceptor force.
Yeah, having watched you today and then played against Greg twice, the interceptors just gone further up in my estimation, even though they were already up there.
But then I think, again, you read online in the forums and they've been build is sort of not all that great. So I don't know. Maybe when you get down to the tournament gaming side of things,
I think when you get to that stage where everything's got to do a job, maybe they don't quite cut it. But I don't care. I just want to fly around boosting around the side of people.
Push the limit times 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way forward for me. All right, so let's talk about getting into the game, and 100 points is the staple to play with. So what's a cheap way to 100 points then? If someone wants to get there quickly, so they don't have to spend a lot and they can play the points value everyone else is playing. So where would you go?
Again, like we said at the start, I think it depends a little bit on your gaming group. If it's just you, I think you can go one way. I think if it's you and a mate, I think it's a little bit easier. So I think if it was just you and you just want to go to a store or a club, I think a starter and a Falcon is a pretty good way of doing it. So you can go with Biggs, R2 and shield upgrades, which are all out of the starter set of the Falcon. And then you go for Han Solo with marksmanship, Luke and Chewie as crewmen, upgrade the ship to be the Falcon, and then upgrade it to engine upgrades as well, so it can boost. You get all the names.
It's quite a pokey combo on the Falcon as well.
It is as well, yeah.
So with Han, so you shoot with 3 shots.
Yep.
You can re-roll all your dice if you need to with Han. If you don't do any damage, you fire again with Luke as crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets sort of like a pseudo focus on that as well, don't he? Which turns one focus to a hit. So you're pumping out some firepower off that.
Yeah, and then Chewie in there as well, so you can use Chewie to discard a damage and grow back a shield. So
that's 4 points for an extra shield and extra damage.
Yeah,
it's quite nice.
Yeah, very good.
And then it is the Millennium Falcon, so you get to wiggle a bit and evade.
Evading boosting Falcon, which is very cool. And that comes in at 98 points, I think that. and on most websites, it's 55 quid retail, but you can get it generally about.
You usually get about 15% off, roughly. We looked on the Element Games site, and they got it at $49.50 for that combo at the moment. So, less than 50 quid, and you're in at a tournament gaming level.
Yeah.
So I would go down the route of the 2 starters route, and I would try and draft a mate in. And if you can get a mate who can buy a starter and swap your X for his 2 ties, then I'd go and pick up a Vader. So tie advance. So for 42 quid, that's 1 starter. Swap your X for 2 ties. So you get 4 ties and then Vader. And the list comes in at using it's the name ties basically from the starter set. So you get a Black Squadron pilot, Night Beast, Dark Curse, and Mauler, and then Vader. And you can tool them up a bit. It leaves you, I think it leaves you about 10 points then to get some upgrades. So I've gone Concussion Missiles and Squad Leader on Vader, and then I don't know, I'll probably go for just a couple of 1-point upgrades, maybe a Draw Your Fire on the Black Squadron, because then it can take some heat off one of you named if you need to. So yeah, tons of options really. You've got 3 points spare to get some upgrades on.
Yeah, and I think if you are doing that, I think the mate that you swap with, I think the obvious choice there is go out and buy another X-Wing, isn't it? So you can get the Trinity there, Biggs, Luke, Wedge.
Yeah, so he can, again, he can get, another 42 quid, or even cheaper once you get some discount on it.
Yeah.
Less than 40 quid, you've got 4 ties and Vader against 3 named X's.
Yeah.
Again.
That'd be a pretty good game as well, actually.
It would, yeah, I think so. And, yeah. So yeah, there's tons of options to get into it dirt cheap, and then, if you don't like it, resale values on eBay are just like 80-90% of your initial outlay. Yeah. So if you decide you don't like it and you've spent 50 quid, you can soon probably get 40 quid, 45 quid back on eBay. And
I would imagine so.
It's pretty easy. So all good. Okay, so I think that about wraps up this one. We'll take a break and we'll come back and wrap up the show.
Okay.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Well, that's another show in the can. Not bad. You like that, do you?
I do, yeah, I do. I've missed that.
It's been a while, yeah. I've not been saying that recent podcast, so save that one for just when you're here.
Okay, yeah. Makes me smile.
So I've enjoyed this one, getting into X-Wing, talking about it's stuff we know about. We've just done.
We've done all this.
We don't have to guess. We don't have to tell people the advanced tactics and tips. What we don't know, we can talk all confident, like we know what we're talking about. It's great. So what have we got down the line then? I think we're going to talk about got a tournament coming up, haven't we?
Yeah. So we're going to Mansfield Sanctuary Gaming Centre for a tournament.
The Big Bang, and it's on. If you're listening,
is that what it's called?
Yeah. So this should be released on the Wednesday, and the tournament will be the Saturday, the 22nd of Feb. So we'll have a review of that soon on a future episode. I think we're going to talk about our gaming board, making our gaming boards as well, because we've both done them. Yeah,
we've both done those. And then we've got another event coming up, haven't we?
The Meltdown. So Friday night at the Meltdown, which is a Warhammer tournament. It's the Merseyside Meltdown at the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool. And on the Friday night, Marcus is going to run a 60-point tournament. And again, like we said, buy your starter, buy any one other ship, and you can soon get your 60 points. And so we're going to the Warhammer event. We're going to hang around on the Friday night and play some X-Wing as well. Do you have any plans for what you're going to be taking to these two?
I don't know. I think it might depend whether these aces turn up. No. If they turn up.
You might get them in time for the Meltdown, which is, I think, the 10th, is it? Or something like that?
Something like that, isn't it? Mid-March. If the aces turn up for that, I think I'll take those. As for the one at the weekend, you know what? I still don't know. I keep
laying a week away.
I know. I lay all my cards out on my board, and I keep shuffling them around into little piles. And those 3 or those 4 or that one. I still don't know.
What are you feeling? What style is it? Is it going to be Rebels or is it? I can't see you playing any Imperial, to be honest, down there.
No, I am very drawn to the 3 X-Wings.
What does it say? It's like flying on easy mode.
Flying on easy mode,
Forward one, K.
K-turn, yeah.
No, I think I'm going to be taking saying that, I was dead set on taking 3 TIE Fighters Academies, Howl Runner, Backstabber, and Soontir Fel with Push the Limit, and it fits in at 100 points on the dot. It's got your mini swarm with your Howl and her 3 mates. You got your 2 flankers with your Interceptor and your Backstabber, and I kind of like the feel of it. I like how it plays. I've played 5 games of it now. It's good. But then today I played with the 2 X's, a Y and a B, and it was really fun. So I don't know. I'm torn now, but I think I'll go with the Imperials.
Okay.
So we'll have to have a report on that when we've done.
Definitely.
We've had our asses kicked.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, we're going to get out of here now. Thanks for listening. Like I said last episode, you can check us out our website at xwingpodcast.com. We're also on Twitter at xwingpodcast. Facebook is facebook.com at xwingpodcast. And funnily enough, we're also on YouTube. Basically, go to the website and there's links to all this.
Just put X-Wing Podcast into Google.
Yeah, if you want it, I hope so. I hope they will. If you want to get in touch with us, you can get us at contact at xwingpodcast.com, and that'll ping an email to us and say hi. Okay, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers, everyone.